Hello YouTube, back once again with my film reviews, and recently, not like in the past day or so, I saw the movie Spotlight, the story of the Spotlight investigation team of the Boston Globe that uncovered the priest child molestation scandal going on with the Catholic Church, and yeah, pretty dark subject material to deal with, and let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about the good and bad of this movie. Well, the good of this movie is I'm glad that this movie deserved to be made because this is a very important story to tell. This story because well, one, I feel this movie is actually very poignant nowadays for the fact investigation journalism is kind of like a dying field because of the internet. I'm glad this movie kind of showed the importance of it, just showing how like it should not be as dying of a field as it is, like how great things can come from it, and that I also feel this movie is worth telling just for the fact it showed how this entire what would you even call it, scandal, is that the right word for it? I don't know, went so much further than most people even know, like how it wasn't just the Catholic Church, it was also the police, like it was also like a good part of the law, like with lawyers and such thing, we're basically doing everything to keep this story quiet, like just like trying to hide how far this thing went and just how many different layers of power just did everything to keep this story under wraps. So because at least I did. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone, but I always thought it kind of just this began and ended with the Catholic Church. But no, this showed it went far beyond just the Catholic Church. So there's that, and I'm also think this is a good. I also think this is a good story to tell, just to show like how some people did wonder why did this story like take so long to break out, besides the whole fact that people were trying to cover it up. Like, why didn't victims come out and like tell reporters earlier? I'm glad this movie brought up the fact that a lot of victims did come out and try to tell news reporters like this story, and but most of them just kind of didn't care. So basically, even though like the journalists in this film are like the heroes, they even kind of admit they're also somewhat to blame, like for just like not kind of ignoring everything for a while, like not thinking this would make an interesting story. So yeah, because of those reasons, I feel this movie was a very important story to tell, in my opinion. So there's that. Other good of this movie is the acting is great to this movie. Mark Ruffalo and Michael Keaton are just as good as ever. Rachel McAdams, she continues to prove that she can be a serious actress and is not just a pretty face. He just does trashy stuff. Liev Schreiber, I keep pronouncing that actor's name wrong. And Brian James, they also turn in great work. And Stanley Tucci is just as fantastic as ever. I always love Stanley Tucci, whatever he does. So all the acting is great. All the actors turn in great performances from beginning to end, and this is a very, very tough subject material to deal with, and I give this movie a lot of credit because it handles it very gracefully. This movie, it never feels manipulative or offensive or yeah, basically that. It never feels like this could have been really preachy, really fast. Like unlike something like most biopics like last year, like with things like The Theory and everything, or like The Imitation Game, when clearly it was trying to manipulate. It was being very manipulative at some points. Like it was noticeable. It wasn't that bad in this movie because you're like, okay, these are stories. Like it's like a story of like that's the story of Imitation Game was like just the story about how the Nazi Enigma was cracked, and like Theory of Everything was just about Stephen Hawking and his and relationship with his first wife with Jane Hawking, and so yeah, but This, if it did anything manipulative, like if it ever felt like it was trying to pry emotion out of people, it could have gotten really offensive really fast. And I give this movie a lot of credit for not doing that. I never felt offended watching this. Like this movie would like offend anyone while watching it. So applaud to this movie for not being in the least bit manipulative. That's great, and there are scenes in this movie that are incredibly effective. Like his, like when those people have an image like of like a child molester looking like a complete monster, like there's one scene I thought was like incredibly effectively and well done when Rachel McAdams goes to like tries to meet one of the priests who like molested children and she and like when she knocks on the door, like the guy, he looks like a very nice kind old man. And I always like movies that have like this kind of people, like people we think look like monsters because they are monsters. They show they don't look like monsters. Like let me think of it. Like if you ever seen the movie Short Term 12, a movie about kids who were abused like by their and like are now like waiting in a short term living facility to like get foster care. There's a great scene in the movie, like when one of the kids who's getting abused, you see the face of their father, and he is just a pretty normal looking guy. Like he does not at all look terrifying at all. You know, when you would never cross this guy and say, "Oh God, that guy's probably in a freaking just disgusting human being." It never so it is very effective. I'm always glad when movies like with this subject material kind of subject material does show that they were they just they look like completely normal people. And but that, and I also thought it was so effective when it the priest, it almost felt like this was just something you could do as a priest, when he just said he just didn't seem very he was kind of when Rachel McAdams kind of confronted him on it, he just didn't seem effective. He was like, "No, I didn't do anything that wrong, really." That was very effectively disturbing. So yeah, there was some wonderful, fantastically and effectively done scenes in this movie. So there's that. But what was the bad in this movie? Because I had issues with this movie. Well, one, I thought, I have one major one, this is my minor one before then. Mark Ruffalo, he's a great actor, I love Mark Ruffalo, he didn't do a great acting job, but he had an accent to this movie that could get really distracting. It's almost undefinable what his accent is. I have no idea what he's going for. Because it's not really a Boston accent. It's something beyond that. And it got really distracting in a few scenes. I was just kind of watching it, just going what are you doing, Mark Ruffalo, exactly? What are you trying to do here? I was... It could really take you out of the movie. It really took me out of the movies out of the movie at times. So know that. But this is my main issue with this movie. That why I don't think it's a masterpiece is this movie is very, very dry. And I... when I say this, I'm not talking about the story itself. No, this is a great story to tell. This is a very important story to tell, like I said before. It's just, there feels to be... It feels like... No, not... How do I say this? Because they do get the humanity across... you feel like you never know these characters, if you know what I'm saying here. Like, you feel like these are just blanks, the main characters are just blank ciphers you could have just thrown any good, competent actor in. Like, none of these actors do make it their own. Like, if you, like, it never feels like any of them make them, like, a character out of any of these roles. Except for Stanley Tucci. He's the only one I felt like he was a character, like, playing with his role. Like, everyone else, though, I just kind of felt like you could have just thrown any actor. Like, it was kind of just every actor was kind of playing themselves in this situation. So, there's also the fact that just the story, its subject material is interesting, but the whole research part of it, like when they're just locating, when they're like going through books, like trying to find specific pieces of information, it can get pretty dull at some points. Not this. I really want to stress, it's not the story itself. It's the aspects of the story. Like, watching someone journal investigate is usually not it isn't always the most exciting of things, and this movie does you feel that in this movie, at least I did. Like, it can get kind of dull at times, like, I honestly felt like the much more interesting story was with Stanley Tucci, who's basically a side character. He plays, I forget what the guy's real name was. Basically, he was the main lawyer who was dealt with, like, was always like fighting like the victims from the Catholic Church, like, who, like, before this week, like, news erupted, and like he's like, there's this whole thing how the church constantly tried to disbar him, and but he kept, even with that, he would keep doing his work, and like it was really interesting, like how he was actually like really like even when the Spotlight team shows up and asks, like, for his help, like, how he's kind of just, like, annoyed by them, why did this take you so long to start going into the story? Like, I found that really interesting, and I felt like that was the more interesting story here, but that again wasn't, it's just, I'm not, it just, I kind of wonder how this movie would be if it was reversed. If, like, how the movie is now, how it's mainly the investigation journalism team with Stanley Tucci as the side role. How would it have been if Stanley Tucci was the main character and the investigation journalism was the side role? Like, they approached him and asked for his help. Like, that really wouldn't... I really don't know. I really don't have an answer to this. I will say this, though, I can't... Just let me put it this way. I can understand why this movie seems to be, at the moment, the front runner for Best Picture, but none of the actors are really getting any mention for, like, the best acting categories, and... I feel that's the best way I can describe it. Like, the subject material is great. The character, there just seems to be a lack of human character in this movie. Not character emotion, not the emotion, just characters, if that makes sense to you. Because it gets across the emotion of what a horrible, the victims that truly suffered in this case, but does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, it gets across the humanity, it doesn't really get across any character, though. It's... I hope that makes sense what I'm saying here. So, yeah. And, so far from rating for this movie, I'm gonna give Spotlight a very solid 4 out of 5. I don't think this is the perfect masterpiece a lot of people are saying. It is a very important subject material but I feel like it was done very dry. And, but I will say this, I feel this is a movie that does deserve to be seen. I know it's hard to say, want to walk into a movie like this, but I feel this is a movie I feel is worth seeing. Just to know the story, so, yeah. That's all I gotta say about Spotlight. YouTube, as always, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.